Welcome, folks, to this July 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Harpswell Board of Appeals. I'll introduce the members of the board. Starting from my far left is Steve Musica, Steve Bruall. I'm Ned Simmons. To my right is Pat Lawson, Dave Zemnorowski, and our associate, Ann Caldwell. On the agenda this evening, we have a administrative appeal of a building permit on Glenita Way. We'll also be considering minutes from our last meeting, which was back in December of 2024. And if we get that far, we'll be electing officers. I'll make some brief comments on our procedure. I will note that we do have a quorum. All our 5 regular members are here. Ann is an associate and is encouraged to participate in the discussion, but will not be voting this evening. Anyone who wishes to speak should step to the microphone and identify themselves. And also, I would encourage you, if you do plan to speak, to sign in over by the door there to make it easier for the recording secretary excuse me, to identify folks who are speaking. Also, if you think you may have any reason to appeal any decision taken this evening, you should at least, at minimum, step to the microphone, identify yourself, and state the reason, the nature of your concerns in order to reserve your rights of appeal. Any questions and comments should be directed through the chair. In general, the procedure is that the applicant will have the opportunity first to present their case. Any abutters will also be able to present their views. In this case, since it's a dispute over a building permit, the holders of the permit, I think after the applicant, will be given an opportunity to speak at that point. Anybody else who is an interested citizen is also free to speak. Again, any questions and comments should be directed through the chair and not amongst yourselves in the audience. I'd note that any verbal representations that you make here will become part of the record. We did hold a site visit on Monday, and I believe Steve and I and Pat were present, and Ann were present at the meeting, at the site visit. I'll go through the filing here quickly. We have an application for an administrative appeal by Carol Jean Richter, a narrative describing the nature of her appeal, a map of the neighborhood, a cut sheet of the lot in question from the tax maps, it appears, the permit that was issued by the Codes Office on June 9th of this year to the Love Oars Islands Trust. Have a memo titled Easement Grant from John Atkinson to the owners of the Glenita Way property. A letter of authorization from the trust to James Reardon to represent the trust. A copy of the issued building permit, the permit card. And then I think we have several pages here of earlier documents, which I don't think I need to go through. These are records, I think, from previous activity on the property, including a plumbing application, a land use application, and various documentation of the conditions on the property. I guess I will note that this was a timely filing within the appeal was filed within the time period allowed after the issuance of the building permit. Ms. Richter, do you want to step up and present your case?
Just reading what the sign says here. All right. Jim told me they were going to build a shed, and then he told me they were going to build a studio for his wife. And his wife told me it was going to be a greenhouse, which she denies. Okay. I came to the town, looked at the application, and there were so many unanswered questions, such as what it was going to look like, where it was going to be. And if you look at the original application, you will note those things. I wanted to know what it would look like, where it would be, just because it abuts my property. And I found out that there were bits and pieces, and where it was in respect to the ocean. I've been here since 71, but where I'm living now since 73. And the ocean and the fisheries, the lobstering, are all very important to this area. So I just wanted to make sure there was nothing wrong with that. The original drawing was not very clear to me. That's the map that we have here. Also, some of the things, like there was no picture of the building that was going to be put up. I noticed that he has added all the absentee things, which is good. We wouldn't be having this meeting if he had filled out the forms correctly. It's 10 by 16. And he said that the picture of the site and the building was just a rectangle. That to me is not in the original. I don't know. I think you had the original you did the other day. And that's the reason for my appealing that, because it was not completed. And let's see. It says on the application, no utilities. What does that mean exactly?
I guess we'll look into that.
Okay, because water, heat, if it's going to be a studio in the winter, you need heat for some reason. Never that hot here. Partly because some of the repairs that he has made on his property have damaged my property, so I wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. By the way, I noticed on his form that he filled out, he put down ages. I'm 89, just so to get in my age with everyone else. I didn't find that to be important, but,
We'll all confess.
Huh?
We'll all confess our ages here.
yeah, okay. I mean, my age does not bother me, and when, I will soon be going back to work. Only if they bring up some other things will I question them.
The other- One thing, you did object to the setback, that the.
Pardon?
You did object to the
The
setback.
setback, I question
Yeah.
if that's far enough. And I thought before they had planned to put it next to the garage, there was a dip, which might affect part of the 40 feet. A gully of some kind that's right across behind the fence on their property. Is that going to affect the 40 feet? I don't know if, right now, you can't see it because it's overgrown. But last summer it was there. Oh, and I don't want the water coming into my property. And I'll answer any other question you have.
Anybody have questions? Steve?
On your application sheet,
Yeah.
the cover, you didn't mention really, as pointed out, anything that I heard tonight, but you said,
Speak slowly, I have a hearing problem.
I believe the permit was issued in error as to the setback.
Yes.
And that was the only item on the application, but on the cover of the application.
On the cover, but the narrative goes.
Right, but
Yeah.
you added a lot of what you were
Yeah.
saying in the narrative.
And I mean, I had copied it from the application, some of those things.
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Yes. Well,
Jean, when you're talking about 40 feet, what dimension are you,
I,
what dimension of 40 feet?
I think that was the 14 feet.
Oh,
I think she
14.
meant, did you mean you mentioned, did you misspeak? You mentioned 40 feet. Did you intend to say 14 feet?
for what?
For the setback?
Oh.
The setback being reduced from-
I was reading. Excuse me. On one side, it's 25, the west setback. The east setback is 125. The north side was 40 feet,
Okay,
all right? That's where I got the 40.
all right, and the,
And the south side is 14,
okay.
all right?
So this is the 40 feet.
Might be this setback.
That's on the plot plan.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, it would be this.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
I may sit down now.
You may.
Thank you.
Mr. Reardon, you,
Sir.
What would be appropriate now?
your your response, I suppose, to the points or the issues that Ms. Richter has raised.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you all for being here.
I mean, I guess
All right.
I will note that I think you've addressed some of them with this package. Right?
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah, I
deficiencies, I think most of the deficiencies in the, it appears to me, that in the application are addressed with this.
Okay.
I think the primary one is the setback
Yeah.
encroachment.
Yeah, I mean, and, thank you all for patience at all, with us doing this application, because it's the first time I've done something. So I kind of was just going by, the instructions that, as I read them, and any deficiencies that were pointed out were inadvertent, and, I'm kind of, a lot of effort has gone into this, a lot of people, a lot of energy, so if those, if I had understood how to do some of those things better, then perhaps this wouldn't have been necessary. But I guess one question I have is, do we feel like the concerns that were in the application to appeal have been addressed, or do you want me to run through things? Should we go through this document page by page, or should we be flipping? Not everybody in the room has a copy of it, so should we be going through this, or, tell me what you think is the
It's
best
not
use of our
necessary
time.
For my purposes, I don't think so. I mean, I think the biggest issue we're gonna have to deal with, since, you've been diligent about addressing the perceived deficiencies in the application, I think the big issue still is the setback reduction.
Okay. All right. What I want to get at, so I looked at several different maps just to try to get a baseline, because unfortunately, we never got around to registering some of the surveys that have been done through the years. So we still have a survey from 1966 that's on the record. But what we do have to go by, of course, is the tax map. And I think there was some confusion in our application about where we want to place it, the shed. And we're calling it a shed or studio, whatever. I mean, it definitely is not going to be a greenhouse. I can assure you that. I think there was some explanation provided that the builder that we're using to do this has built some greenhouses, and so we saw some examples of that. So somehow that got lost in translation. So anyway, we think it should be where it is, because it's going to just be in the way if it's someplace else. Right? So if that's not an issue, we can move past that. This is the survey that's registered. This is the tax map, and I just was looking at this today, and what's really helpful is that 40-foot line that is on Mrs. Richter's eastern border. When you put a ruler to the map, you'll come up with that line is the same as we go across. So that's where I come up with that 40 feet across. So that leaves enough room for 5 foot of space off the garage, a 10-foot wide mouth of the shed, and then 25-foot setback from the Richter property. And then as far as the being on the southern side of the buildable envelope, of course, we've got a letter of permission from John Atkinson, who is here. I've already confirmed with him verbally that he'd be fine to attach that easement to the deed, so there's no confusion in the future should the property ever change hands in the future. And, there'll be it'll be noted in the record, why that building is beyond the buildable envelope. But the other thing that I realized as I was doing all this math is that the way we intend to do this, only half of the garage will be down on the southern end. So half the garage is in the buildable envelope. Half the shed studio is in the buildable envelope and half will be outside. But if we do that math and we say 16 foot long, so divide by 2, that's 8 feet, times 10 feet wide, that's 80 square feet. So I have an understanding that 80 square feet would be tolerated as a variance. So you kind of sort of would chop off the part that's in the buildable envelope in terms of just that variance consideration, and you'd say, okay, it's 80 square feet there. It's kind of like Miss Richter's shed I think is small enough that it would be tolerated to be closer to the property line. That was my understanding. That may or may not be correct. You guys would know better. But that was one thought. And then I started thinking about the expansion rule. And when you add up the square footage of the footprint of our current structures that have been there, all along, and if we were to do a 30% expansion, then, I mean, we're coming up with over 500 square feet, right? So we could just attach to the garage if we had to and build a larger structure, as I understand. I mean, again, this is quick and dirty research that I've been doing. You guys would know better, but that was something that occurred. So all things considered, I just feel like it's going to be an attractive feature. It's not going to be, an unsightly structure. I think it'll be attractive. We're going to use a good builder. That it's going to be nice materials. And it's the best location for it. I think we're fine in the setback to the west. We have permission for the setback to the south. If we move it further north so that we don't have any need for variance to the south, we're going to affect some people's views out to the water and so on and so forth. And we're going to affect parking, as I said. And the only reason why I mentioned age is, and that sort of thing was because if we park cars out near Harpswell Islands Road and people have to walk down, it's going to be a problem. So, and sometimes, most of the time, there's not a lot of cars there, but we do have times when if all families are there, the parking spots fill up. So we really need the extra parking, if any way possible. So, as far as utilities, yeah, I mean, we were thinking, battery lights, no plumbing, not thinking about electricity at this point. As far as heating is concerned, this shed, to be very candid, when family visit in the summer, my wife, Carol, she'll have her art spread out in an area of the house that she kind of has to gather up and put away if the whole house fills up with family. So she doesn't have that inconvenience the winter. We're the only people there in the winter. So the art may spread out indoors if it's too chilly in the shed in the winter. It may wind up spreading out in the house. But in the summertime, this will just be a really nice convenience. And, I mean, we could use an extension cord to run an electric heater in there if she wanted to, or maybe a Mr. Heater or something along those lines. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's our assessment of it, and we would appeal to the board that there's no reason not to go forward with this. Thank you.
Questions? Okay, thank you.
Not right now.
Okay.
Do we have any questions of the codes?
Well, let's see, anybody else want to speak to this? No? I don't have, do you have questions for codes? You can call them up if you want
No, as long as codes is,
to. Do you folks in codes, do you have any
No?
Any statement you want to make?
yes. Did you see the the piece of paper in here that talks about the expansion.
The expansion.
Somebody's questioning an expansion on the property from 1999.
From a previous permit, you mean, of the house? or-
I don't
No,
know.
evidently I did not
Okay.
see this, no.
Okay. So my question was going to be, has there been an expansion there? And if so, did it take up the full?
30% at
back
the
there-
time.
Back then, 30%?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't appear, that would only,
It's,
the 30% would only apply to the garage, assuming that's what was gonna get expanded.
well, it takes all
Well, it's
non-conforming footprint
Yeah.
on the lot,
The entire,
correct.
okay.
And part of the house,
So you
north and
apply it all
south,
to
you
the-
can apply it all, correct.
Okay, oh, I
Okay.
Yeah.
misunderstood that.
That's,
And so as far as you know, that there's not been an expansion?
was not made aware, it was a minor.
There was a couple of feet times probably 30 feet, so. Three? Yeah, there may have been, I think it's like 3 feet times 30 feet, so maybe 100 square feet.
Okay.
In that, expansion, but that was 1998. And that expansion may have slightly come over the buildable envelope, but yeah, it was
But there's-
obviously
Still something
Still
left.
some-
hundreds of square feet, yeah, available, yes.
Still some to go, yeah, okay, just
And this
because I didn't
shed,
understand how much expansion, if any, was done prior to this. 80 doesn't sound like much in the way of square footage, but if it's already being
Right.
used, okay, that's fine.
So,
Steve?
yeah, Tim, so the garage is a non-conforming
Accessory building.
accessory building, and it's going to be grandfathered.
Correct.
Grandfathered, so could that be enlarged by 30%?
Correct.
Okay.
And you can
Well,
take all,
30%.
whatever one.
Is that being enlarged without increasing the nonconformity, or just being enlarged to
You
to
can go
meet
into the side
setbacks?
setback in the non-conforming 30%. You just can't get any closer to any
Okay.
set side back
So-
of your,
So-
of that point. So if the garage was 10 feet, you can't get any closer than 10 feet.
There's room on the west
Right,
that you
Which
can't, you
the-
can't go beyond the back wall of the garage on the south.
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's the way it's,
and the shed, in fact, eats up expansion, even though it's a separate structure, it eats up some of the
Well,
expansion.
I was just saying that he could, if he wanted, if we said no, then he couldn't, if he attaches it to the garage, then, yes, you're gonna use up some of that expansion.
But given the fact that it's detached, it sounds like it
It's-
does not, in fact. use
Right,
it.
that's why he's asking for a variance, correct.
Got it.
He could do that way. To me, it's like one or the other, because you still
So
get
this
there.
reserves another, whatever the square footage is.
Right, that 80
for
square
potential
feet.
future
And you could
expansion.
write it in that, okay, you'd lose it, you lose 80, you know.
Yeah. And that's was the intent in structuring it this way?
Yeah, we don't have any other expansion plans.
No. But that's, I mean, a variance is not before us. We're
Right,
being asked to.
No, I
rule on
understand, I just wanted to,
Administrative procedure.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay. So it appears
Anything else?
that, it appears that you don't have any problem with it.
No, I do
And
not.
we're not finding, we haven't found so far an issue, have you?
Well, I think the issue is the intrusion into the 14-foot, or that 14-foot setback. I think that's the
Which we
that's the
still
problem.
have, even though,
If it's a detached building,
Yeah.
then.
So,
okay.
yeah,
understood.
got it.
Yeah,
When you get a chance.
if it was attached to the garage, it wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
In my mind, anyway, at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't heard all the arguments, but at this point, what I'm seeing is that being detached is a problem, because you don't, you know, it has to be attached to the non-conforming structure in order to use the non-conformity, the setback non-conformity.
In this case, where you, excuse my choice of words, violate the setback, you have a neighbor that basically says, I'm okay with that. And no?
Doesn't fly.
No,
You know, you can't,
Doesn't
you
apply.
can't sign that right away, or sign that. The neighbor can't sign off on that and allow that.
No, yeah.
So then, I'll go back to the beginning. So what's the basis for granting a building permit that violates that attribute?
That's what we're
That's
here
where
to
we are.
decide, whether, you know, whether this.
Because then you're,
I
then you're
wish I-
going to ask, okay, then I'd say, well, if you're going to add something to it that's new, oh, I want to see footings. Well, the other thing doesn't have footings. So you got one thing that's floating and one thing that's not. Whereas right now, both would be floating.
I mean, I think it's a matter of practicality.
It is.
You know,
It is.
it doesn't seem unreasonable. They should be able to set it right beside there, but that's not.
And I'm concerned, which we talked about, was the water in between the two buildings, which he's addressed.
And I understand the reluctance to improve that garage. I mean, it doesn't look like it's in that great shape. I mean,
But does that meet the threshold for our ability to make a decision? I didn't think so.
No. Yeah, I mean, you know, say that, you know, reasonableness isn't our standard, it's the ordinance.
Maybe worth explaining that. You've done a very nice job in the past of making that sort of clear that the rule set in which we operate is extremely constrained.
Right, we don't have a lot of discretion, is what it comes down to. You know, we are committed to upholding the letter of the ordinances. And just because something seems reasonable to us or to the applicant, doesn't mean that we can, you know, we just don't have the discretion to override that. Steve?
So if the proposed shed was moved 11 feet to the north, it could theoretically meet all the setbacks?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my.
For that size?
At this point, that's my understanding.
It just wouldn't be practical for vehicle use.
Yeah.
Correct. So then that's where the common sense things comes in, which we can do.
Well, there was wasn't there a rock wall with some flowers that went up to the corner of the driveway? How many feet is that from the garage up? I can't remember. There was a stone wall with some flowers and went up, and then there was a 90, and then,
Or 20 feet, like that, 25 feet. Again, that's sort of like a area that we would typically use for parking.
okay.
And like I was saying, that will.
Can you
Jim.
step up to the microphone if you can?
I just didn't want to crowd Mr. Clark.
Sorry.
Yeah, and if you stand there, you'll realize it's gonna obstruct some views for some people, so it'll pose as potentially a hardship for others. You know, is there any merit to that point that I made, that you would discount the half the garage that's in the buildable envelope? So if we're talking about half the garage that's outside the buildable envelope, then that
Talking about
would
the
be
shed.
tolerated?
The shed exception.
The shed
I
exception?
think that's limited, well, I think it's limited to a single building. You know, it has to be a small 8-by-10 shed, and I think it's limited to uses for, you know, as a garden shed, basically, if I remember right.
Okay. So,
So I don't think a single larger building wouldn't count.
okay,
You can't just take half, you can't just apply
Okay.
it to half of your building.
okay.
I understand what you're getting at, and again, it sounds
We
like
can't be practical
reasonable,
here.
but-
Yeah, okay. So because of the way the ordinance is written, we would have to attach the garage to make this work? That's the idea?
We haven't voted yet, but,
Okay.
you know, I think that's the way I'm at this point, leaning.
And just so I'm clear, what was the practical issue that was discussed in terms of attaching these two buildings?
In other words, why not do it?
Yeah,
Oh, I was just bringing up that if it's a new structure, then it should have footings, and now you have something that has footings, and you're attaching it to something that does not.
does it have
So you have
piers,
something
or
floating,
is it
whereas right
literally-
now-
is it built on the ground, or is it
Yes,
have
it
piers?
is. Yes, it has a dirt floor. So it is just a good place to have their gardening tools.
Got it.
Whereas this would have a floor, so you could have something clean to walk into to use as you might want to use.
Which means you could turn the garage into the studio and put an 8x10 garden shed. Yeah, I don't want to get too far afield here, you know, with speculation
Then
and
you don't have a garage, it's a garage though, right? It's a garage, not a shed that's there now.
It's
Right.
currently there as a garage,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's a garage that presumably is there because you want to put a vehicle in it.
With a
Yeah, it's a
very
dirt
old wooden
floor.
door, the old,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you saw it.
Steve, you have something, Steve?
That's
Not very it wouldn't, that would be chilly if we're worried about temperature in the winter.
that garage didn't have a door, right?
It does have a garage door that comes down.
Oh, it
but-
does?
But
Okay.
it's just,
I
it's
didn't
so,
see it.
it's pretty old
see it.
school. Yeah, so it's not going to be real warm.
You don't know what the town assesses that garage at, do you? Any chance? Do you have any? Well, no, that's all right.
Not much.
Oh,
It's probably not too much if it's a dirt floor.
Since we haven't done an assessment for 20-some years, I'm sure it's not much.
Okay.
I've never saw a delineated garage versus house, anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Pat?
Tim? When you say attached, if this were attached, does it have to share a wall? Or if there is some sort of bridge, roof bridge over, is that considered part of the same
Structure.
structure?
Or
I
even
guess
just
I'd
a
have to
walkway?
think. Yeah. But you're saying like extend the roof of the existing over to the new, does it? It would have to be supported by the new structure, I guess, for me to consider it part of it.
Or that's a good point, Pat. Perhaps we could create a little hallway from garage to shed or something like that.
Something like
Have it
that.
connected
Just
that
that your
way.
new
Meets
one
the
was gonna be a little
definition of-
taller. It's
I-
Still
I'm-
under
It
20
was,
feet.
yeah.
I'm concerned with how long this meeting's going to run.
Yeah.
Because this
Well,
paperwork's
we're
going
not
to
gonna-
take us a
yeah, we're
long
not
time,
gonna-
so I don't,
Design it. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm-
do-
Yeah, no, understood, but that's a helpful thought. I
I-
appreciate it.
Okay.
I think we need to cut short the
Okay.
speculation and do the
Good
dirty
idea.
work here.
Good idea.
Which brings up a point, this is going to be long, this is going to take a long time, because it's a de novo hearing. We have to go through the whole ordinance, and it's many, many pages.
Okay.
We have a couple options. We can stop here and continue in another meeting. We can have a limited discussion, but I think we've been warned in the past not to take any decisions because we have to file a notice of decision in 5 days. We can't really take any votes.
Okay,
I think we can have a general discussion about how we're feeling,
okay.
or we can plow through and do it. You know, the one advantage of putting it off is that we can have a short discussion, I can get a sense of what we're doing, and then, you know, at least prepare a draft notice of decision that we can then vote on.
Ned, what's your preference?
What's that?
What's your preference?
Well, there's another option, which is we can start in on it. If we don't get done, if we get sick of it, as long as everybody can meet within the next 5 days, we can finish at another meeting short term, rather than waiting a month.
Is that business days?
No.
No, it's 5 calendar days.
Calendar days, so Monday would be the last day, and I would, if I'm, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the Raridans would be okay with deciding to ask for an extension to next month?
Well, it's really not up to them, it's up to us. What are your plans as far as your construction plans? What were you hoping to do?
First week of August, we got the permit, I put the deposit down, which is non-refundable, it does not.
Can you step
Sorry.
up and repeat that? Your plans are, you're
So-
imminent, it's imminent, you'd like to
Yeah,
start.
once we got the permit, I sent the non-refundable deposit to secure the building time, which is the first week of August.
Yep.
So we talking about an hour to do this, or how?
It depends. Well, the other question I have is whether we need to go through the whole thing, or if we get to a dead end, can we stop and,
Well, Ned, comment before you decide what we're going to do. I'm not clear on looking at Mrs. Richter's letter to us. I think whether the shed meets the required setbacks or not. Do we know that? Does it?
it does not.
It does not.
It does
So we-
not. I
so
think
we're-
that's,
so we're
I think
all
that's
in
pretty
agreement on
clear.
that.
Yeah, I
And-
think the question is, comes right down to, I think it's a formality, really. I think we're,
And what was how did they not meet their setback? Was it
The
14
setback-
Was it
the
the
set-
14 feet
it should-
southern setback? that was above?
right, needs to be 25,
Yeah, so that's the only setback, that's a single setback issue.
apparently, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess under the circumstances, I'd suggest we start, and if we can't finish, we'll have to find another day between now and Monday to, it doesn't have to be in the evening, it can be any time, so.
It's fine with me.
It's okay.
Okay. So I'm going to start, but we're just going to have to go through a bunch of motions, I think, findings. I'm going to start with the basic land use ordinance and separate out what's subject to the shoreland zoning ordinance and the basic land use ordinance. And Section 3, applicability in the basic land use ordinance explains that, and what it comes down to is that the only thing in the basic land use ordinance that applies here is the procedural and administrative provisions contained in this ordinance, which in this case, I think, is the administration of the permit. And that's Section 13, which is permits, approvals, and certificates of compliance required.
Page 24.
And I think what's relevant here is that the land use table, 13.3, you'll have to bear with me here, I'm going to try to write this
Yeah.
notice
now,
while we're doing
quickly,
it.
yeah.
13.3 is the land use table, and 13.3.16
16.
deals with accessory structures and allows for an accessory structure in the CF2 zone, which is what we're in, the Commercial Fisheries 2 zone. So I would move that the proposed structure is an approved use in the zone.
Second?
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's see, how do I want to word this? The next thing I have here is, I think deals with the 13.3.1. This deals with the requirements for the permit, which was the issue of the lack of a scaled drawing and pictures of the project. I think I would move that requirement was, even though it was addressed in the addendum here, it was not addressed in the original permit, so that the permit was, and the permit and application were deficient in that manner, or in that regard.
I'm sorry,
I'm moving that, I'm making a motion that the application and the permit were deficient with regard to the scaled site plan and the lack of photographs. Not to say that you haven't fixed it, but I'm talking about what was actually issued. Does everybody understand what I moved?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes?
Yeah,
Second.
Understand, second.
Is there a discussion?
No.
One discussion, just for detail in the appeal, paragraph number 3 and 4, it's listed as 13.13.1, I think it's supposed to probably.
It should be 13.3.1, it's a misprint, yeah, right. Yep. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Is it still possible for us to read and maybe comment at this stage, or?
Yeah, if you keep it quick, if it's something simple.
The 14-foot across the buildable area, across that coastal requirement, that, I'm wondering if that number can be smaller. That was part of the original application, right? That, where we're saying that the shed would be, it only has a 14-foot setback instead of a 25. So, I mean, that's one thing I could go, if we had to, I mean, I could potentially look and see if, how much it would stick out, because that's one number I haven't really been focusing on. I wasn't focusing on that since this appeals process started, because I thought the letter, permitting the variance was sufficient. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thanks.
I think that's all we need to deal with in the basic land use. We can move on to the shoreline zoning ordinance. And then I just wanted to note that this is under section 10, 10.5.2, regarding dealing with nonconformance. This is a nonconforming lot, but the,
What one is yours?
Fine.
10.5.2.
a nonconforming lot of record as of the effective date of this ordinance or amendment thereto may be built upon without the need for a variance. So I would find that the proposed activity is allowable under that provision.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. The use is allowed. Just by way of explanation, we're acting like the codes officer right now, just so everybody understands what we're doing. Just because of the way our ordinance is written, we're in effect starting from scratch and reviewing this because it's a de novo hearing rather than an appellate hearing. If it had been an appellate hearing, we could have just dealt with the issues that were raised in the appeal, but we have to actually go through the same process that the codes officer would use in order to evaluate this proposal.
And so if whatever decision gets made tonight, there's still an opportunity for appeal?
Yes.
That would get us into the appellate process you just described? Or that's a different?
Let me write this and
Okay.
I'll try to explain.
Learning a lot here.
Yeah, there's a lot to know. If you, I mean, you're not obliged to stay. If you want to leave, I'll let you know. I'll tell you what your rights of appeal are right now. If you want to stick around, I'll read it at the end. I mean, would you like to leave? Or do you want? You may learn something, I suppose. You know, I'm scribbling this stuff, and it's not going to be as formal as I would like it to be, just because we need to get through it. But
You guys can do it, and we'll soldier up with you.
the next, then we go to section 14 and another land use table, and that's, I think is identical to the table in the, it's identical to the table in the
Yeah,
basic
it's
land
the
use
same.
ordinance, same thing. So I would move again that the land use table allows for an accessory use in this zone.
Yep.
Any, second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, now we get into the land use standards. 15.1, the minimum lot standards table. I guess with regard to 15.1, I would move that this is a grandfathered, non-conforming lot. It does not conform to the minimum lot standards, but it's a grandfathered lot, so the proposed activity is allowable.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Okay, now we get into 15.2 for principal and accessory structures, 15.2.1 setbacks, which I think is the nub of this. The minimum setback from a property line for all new and principal accessory structures is 25 feet. I would find that the proposed structure does not conform to the setback, and thus a building permit is not appropriate under the
Second.
circumstances.
Yep.
Discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. The question now becomes, do we have to go through the rest since we found a fatal error?
No, if we were the code enforcement office,
If we were,
I mean,
he would stop.
if we're serving, we'd stop
I
here.
think that's a legitimate, I think that's a good argument, yeah. Yeah, he would-
Instead,
he
I
would
don't see
bother.
why we have to continue on.
Right.
And
If everybody thinks
to the
we're okay
other
with that, I'm
issues.
comfortable with,
Okay with that?
I'm with Steve.
Just
It's
to be
fatal.
clear that we're talking about one, that southern setback, that is the
yes.
single
Yep.
point of contention.
That seems to me is the fatal flaw in the plan, really. Yeah, I mean, our book says we should go through everything, but I think it may be looking at it from the point of view of somebody who's appealing a denied permit, right? And then you have to evaluate everything. I think, we're in
Right.
different
But if
circumstances.
it's first administrative thing, the first problem, as Steve said,
Yeah, but if we were going to approve a new build permit, if it was an applicant if somebody applied for a permit and was denied and then appealed, then
Correct.
we'd have to go,
And all the way through it.
We'd have to
Yeah.
go all the way through it.
and
Right.
look at everything.
Go all the way through. We don't,
All right, then,
it's not going to be relevant.
all right.
considered attached.
The
You could
issue,
knock that down. There's no structural support between the two.
right.
That's what we do. That's what I tried to hit, put in a 4-foot walkway.
If it meets building codes to attach one on piers to one that's sitting on the ground, that's my concern. With codes permitting something like that. The quickest, easiest fix is pull it in ahead, get it out of both setbacks.
Say, Ned,
I don't care.
Yes?
is it okay if I ask the code something?
Sure.
Or should I wait till we're done here?
No, go ahead.
A code question. If that garage was, demolished, the owner would have a year to rebuild, and they could actually rebuild without, and increase it by 30%,
Correct,
the whole structure.
correct.
Wouldn't,
Well, whatever's in that
we didn't have to-
non-conforming part.
Right.
Let's say that half of it is, then you take that half times the 30% and can expand that.
Okay, but he's got,
That's where-
they've got a year to rebuild.
but wouldn't they have to?
They have to apply within a year.
Right.
Wouldn't they have to move it to the greatest practical?
Greatest
extent?
practical extent,
Right.
that's,
I mean, if they save,
if there's room, that's,
I mean, I
But-
you
think,
tear it all down.
That's where you take parking and maneuverability of cars into account, right?
I would, yes.
Right,
if
I
you
would
were
hope
able
so.
to save 50% of the value of it, then you could
Or-
renovate it, right?
Then you can
Place.
renovate, yeah, which they've done maintenance on it, so it's, at least they're doing that, so a lot of other ones they don't.
I mean, for example, you could raise it up and put a
Foundation
cross
under it,
wall
yeah.
under it or whatever.
I
put
suppose
a
you could,
slab
yeah.
on there if you were really-
It's, then it's about cost and,
Yeah.
right,
Sometimes, yeah.
yes.
Tim, if they could be connected with a walkway or something like that, does that violate building codes to connect a building with what piers and one that's sitting on the ground?
I was thinking about it, if you're gonna marry two buildings that are
Yeah.
basically frost-free, if, for instance, the one is, so maybe I was suggest just putting rock under this to allow, I always tell other people when we come into this situation, let the water get away. It's the
Yes.
water that freezes and pushes things.
Right.
So let's get the water away. So then we might entertain that as the alternative,
And
if
how
he has
fast-
to adjoin
And
it.
how fast would it, if he submitted a new building permit application, how fast could you deal with that since?
I think, given the circumstances, very fast.
All right, we have one more.
There are porches all around town
Yes, there are.
where we have foundations, whether they're concrete or rubble foundations, and the porch is not generally, almost exclusively, never supported by a
Correct.
foundation, by a frost wall. Sometimes piers, sometimes rocks. You've seen more than I have.
Yeah. And a lot of those
Basically,
times, there
there's
isn't
an
much dirt.
analogy here.
It's right on ledge, so that doesn't move. So most of the time, we're just very lucky.
I
We
think
have,
what we're saying
we
is,
have one last vote to
Right.
make
yeah,
here.
we hope there's a solution here that's easily at hand.
Yes.
I would move that based on the above findings of facts and conclusion, the Board of Appeals voted, well, I would move that we grant the appeal, Ms. Richter's appeal.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Yeah. So this reads, based on the above findings of fact and conclusion, the Board of Appeals voted 5 in favor and 0 opposed to approve your application for administrative appeal. So, Ms. Richter, we've granted your appeal. We've granted your appeal.
Thank you.
And I will run through the rights of appeal. Any party any party to this decision can request the board to reconsider within 10 days of this date. That generally requires that you bring us something new, a new argument or some new facts. You also have 45 days to appeal to Superior Court from this date.
If we come back with a different design, which maybe we turn it so it's horizontal, that we're not we're within the acceptable permitted placement of the shed, or if we attach it to the garage in some way, would that require a brand-new permit request?
That would be between
That would
you,
be completely
between
new.
you and the
Otherwise,
codes.
the
and-
appealing is to appeal based on what we've requested today.
Right, right. We've voided the permit
You voided the permit.
that you've received, and you're free now to go and renegotiate with codes for a new permit.
Like first thing tomorrow morning.
But I think he's working on it right now.
What? Oh, 1 o'clock tomorrow, yes. But that's what you were going to say. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh.
There is, it's easy.
Do you have any other questions? Mr.
Little
Reed?
bit of
No,
pain in
we're
the neck,
talking
but-
noodling on,
Okay,
What to do next?
okay. Margaret, did you have,
Hi, my name is Margaret McIntyre. I am an employee of the town, but tonight I am acting as a representative for my grandmother, Jean Richter. And I just wanted to point out a couple things that maybe are relevant to your future application. First of all, I feel like you mentioned that the photo standard was met, but they didn't actually include any photos.
well,
You said that it was satisfied, but I
Well, it's
disagree
not-
because there are actually no photos of the
I
lot.
think what I said is they kind of addressed it here.
Yeah,
it
but
would have
it's-
to be attached.
yeah.
It doesn't count because it's not attached to anything.
There's no photos of the lot as required by the ordinance.
I mean, that would be an issue for a new permit.
Right, yeah. The other, the other things are that your 30% expansion calculation is incorrect. You say tallying up the square footage in the buildable envelope, including the house and garage, we arrive about 1,700 square feet of existing footprint in the buildable area. The 30% expansion is only for structures in the shoreline zone that were there in 1989 and are in the non-conforming area. So his calculation for 30% expansion is incorrect because he's using stuff in the building envelope. It's reserved for only square footage in the non-conforming area. So I think if he does that calculation, he's going to find his 30% is really small because it's half a garage and maybe a little bit of the house, but we know the house was expanded in 98, not 89.
We do, well, hold on, we know
What?
it was expanded in 98.
Yes, that's what we discussed. He said it was expanded 3 by,
a small
yeah.
expansion in
Okay.
1998 on the house.
Right. My point is that if any of that expansion was in the non-conforming, that wouldn't qualify for this 30% non-conforming calculation
I understand.
because it wasn't there in 1989.
Yep.
So those are my only points. That's the year that the shoreline zoning ordinance was enacted. So the structures to be grandfathered, to be qualified for this 30% expansion, they have to have been there in 1989.
I'm going to suggest that we,
But those are my
Adjourn.
comments. Right.
thanks, Margaret. I suggest we adjourn for a minute.
Yep.
I'll clean up my notes here, then we can sign it, and then we'll be done.
I move we adjourn temporarily.
Kill the tape, Mary Ann, for a bit.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever.
Well, until everybody gets tired of
Nothing more for us at this point.
this article.
We're back in session here, folks.
Oops.
I'll,
Yes, sir.
I'll read what I've scribbled here, and feel free to make comments or criticisms. This is a administrative appeal decision. The applicant was Carol Jean Richter, 1865 Harpswell Islands Road, Oars Island, Maine, 04066. The date is 7/23/2025. Dear Ms. Richter, this is to inform you that the Board of Appeals acted on your application for an administrative appeal at its meeting on 7/23/2025 and made the following findings and conclusions. The owner of the property in question is the Love Oars Island Trust. The property is located at 7 Glenita Way. It is in the CF2 zoning district and is identified as Assessor's Tax Map 27, Lot 65. It is .64 acre in lot area. The applicant is Carol Jean Richter, a butter. The applicant is appealing a building permit for an accessory structure issued to the owner of 7 Glenita Way. The decision of the code enforcement officer at issue is dated June 9th, 2025. A completed application was submitted on July 8th, 2025. A public hearing was held on July 23rd, 2025. The relevant sections of the ordinance are Basic Land Use Ordinance, Section 13, Shoreland Zoning Ordinance, Section 10, Shoreland Zoning Ordinance, Section 14, Shoreland Zoning Ordinance, Section 15. The relevant facts are, see the attached sheet, and I've written here from the Basic Land Use Ordinance, 13.3, Table 1, Part 16, allows for accessory structures in the CF2 zone, and the proposed structure complies. 13.3.1, the permit application is deficient in that it does not include photos and a scaled plan. Shoreland Zone SZO 10.5.2, the new structures are allowed on this non-conforming lot. Section 14, Table 1, C Basic Land Use Ordinance. Section 13.3, Table 1, accessory structures are allowed per line 16. 15.1, the lot is grandfathered, non-conforming. 15.2.1, the proposed structure does not respect the 25-foot setback on the southern side and is not allowed as shown on the permit application. And then conclusions. Based on the above stated facts and the provisions of the ordinance cited, the board concludes the proposed structure violates the setback and may not be permitted. And based on the above findings of fact and conclusions, the Board of Appeals voted 5 in favor and 0 opposed to approve your application for an administrative appeal. Any suggestions, criticisms, changes?
Nope.
Keep forgetting the date. 23rd?
23rd.
Written it half a dozen times, right?
I know the importance.
Yeah, I was gonna. Okay, may I borrow your pen? I'll give it back to you when I get this. Thank you.
I borrowed it from Margaret.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So the best thing about being on these committees, I see people, that is real gems in this town. So it's wonderful to be able to get it, to learn from people.
It's absolutely true. I'm continually just gobsmacked by some of the people.
It's
We've only lived
remarkable
here a
town.
couple of years.
Yeah, it's a
Good,
remarkable
but
town.
Good work.
It's incredible.
And committees was a kind of a nice
All right.
way to get to know some of them.
Yeah.
to get invested in a town that's really
Next order of business,
changing.
minutes.
Oh,
We
minutes,
came
yes.
here in the early
Any-
days. We built
We've got
Comment?
some
Oh, that's right,
minutes.
who was at the meeting? It was just the three of us, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
I believe they accurately reflect.
I have no
the-
problem with the minute.
Yeah, I didn't
I would
either.
move that we accept the minutes as drafted.
Second.
All in favor? Election of officers.
Why is this possible?
So it's going to be 302. Well, yeah, she's,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Three in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstentions.
And are we recording?
Yes. Anybody want to be chair next year?
No. No, thank you.
Ned, what was the
how
song?
much
You said
longer
I
I can do
could
this.
participate, yes?
I'm sorry, you certainly can.
I nominate Ned Simmons for chair.
I second.
any discussion?
All in favor? All right.
What's the song?
Sec-
Nothing compares
Secretary,
to you?
who is the current secretary? I don't remember.
It's
Is it-
Jim.
Is it Jim?
Jim?
still? No, he's an associate, so he can't be secretary anymore. Anybody volunteering to be secretary?
Yeah,
The duties are pretty slim,
Basically
right,
taking
Jim?
minutes, eh?
yeah.
Have you,
No.
yeah.
So what does the
So what is-
secretary do?
I think-
Writes whatever.
I'm just asking
Ned-
for
I
Pat.
think
No. I'm
historically,
still
all the
employed
secretary has
full-
done is write the blurb for the town report, annual report, which just is,
That's easy.
for the most part, just a recitation of how many cases we've done.
I nominate Dave Z.
I nominate Stephen. Choose your last name.
Steve?
Come on, it's a 10-minute job.
It's a 10-minute job.
Yeah, except that's
You're
budget, that's
retired.
budget committee time of the year. That's
I
really,
think I was
actually really
nominated
intense.
I think
and
you were.
accepted last year, and I didn't do anything.
Oh,
If
well,
that-
Okay.
Well, there you
I
go. You
withdraw
did
my
it.
We'll
nomination.
nominate,
Great job.
Steve, see?
I don't do anything real well.
Steve Music has been nominated.
So,
Is there
I
a
guess,
second?
I guess the staff is gonna have to look for us when they want the annual report.
Yeah, they'll give you the.
But I think, okay.
So Steve Music is
Is
up for
this,
election.
is there-
All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Steve is elected as secretary.
Right.
Anything
Great
el- Oh,
choice.
you know, one other thing, if you don't mind sticking around for a couple of minutes.
Vice chair?
I'm sorry?
Did you do a vice chair?
We don't have.
no, we don't have one,
No, no.
and don't want one.
Um,
Because he'll leave.
Back when we had the appeal over on Gunpoint,
Yes, the tote road thing?
yeah,
Yeah.
I talked to Christie about, and
Oh,
Terry
yes.
about a couple of things that we talked about here. But one of the other things I brought up with them, and I've been bugging them again lately, is to get rid of this de novo business.
Yes.
For the, I mean, we changed from appellate from de novo to appellate for planning board appeals years ago, like 20 years ago. And I'm not sure what the rationale was at the time for keeping it for the administrative appeals, but it's just gotten much more burdensome. If you look, I counted up the pages. Back then, the section 15, the standards of approval for a permit was, I don't know, 10 pages, and now it's 25. I just don't see the point of it, and I don't know whether any of you folks have any. Before I follow up with them again, I'm supposed to get Terry some questions about it to bring to the town attorney or to the MMA about what the ramifications of that might be, but I don't know if you guys have any thoughts.
Well, unless somebody objects to that idea,
Yeah.
I think we should say that you can say to them, you have the approval of the the board, the backing of the board.
At least we can get some feedback and see
Yeah.
whether it's possible and whether there are anything, anything I'm not aware of. that-
You want something as formal as a vote on
No,
that?
no.
Okay.
No, just that we all.
I agree with what
Okay.
Pat said.
Ned,
Yes,
could you explain very briefly the difference between de novo and appellate?
de novo means that we are actually acting in the place of the planning board or the codes officer.
Okay,
So, and the reason we did it for the planning board is because it was very burdensome, and we don't have the expertise of the planning board. I mean, those guys, they do it, the sorts of things they do on a regular
Yeah.
basis, and it's pretty technical. And especially back then, we didn't have a planner, so it was all on the planning board, and it would have been all on us, for an appeal. An appellate just means that and that's one question I have. Appellate just means that the person who's bringing the appeal has to be specific about what they want us to deal with. For instance, in this case, it would have been pretty straightforward. It was the setback business.
so the appellate thing is not familiar to me, but the appellate thing seems to me like what I'm more familiar with, which is where the Board of Appeals is acting as a legally judging entity about the issue at hand. Is this, and they do it the same way if somebody appeals a decision.
If it was a de novo, we would act just as if we were the planning board. If it's appellate, then we're only dealing with the questions that are in dispute. If somebody were to appeal a denial of a planning board decision, for instance, and came to us in an appellate capacity, they would have to point out the specific points that they think that the planning board got wrong. And we would rehear those specific points, but not have to go through every standard in order to make a decision.
So if they change the rule,
Yep.
then tonight's issue would have gone to the planning board or still
No,
come to
it would have
us?
come to us, but we
But
just
still but been much simpler.
would have been simpler. We wouldn't have to go through all
Okay.
the standards
Okay.
that everybody agreed on.
Okay, okay.
My only question is whether, for instance, if somebody appeals a permit and comes to, and it's an appellate review, if we have the ability to go outside the specifics that they bring up. For instance, if we see some glaring mistake that they don't bring up, can we deal with that or not? And I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
Norma.
Yeah. I know that well, I don't think, were any of you folks here? Were you here for the stairs down on Dipper Cove?
Where?
There was a set of stairs down in Dipper Cove, and there was a big typical neighborhood squabble. But the reason I bring it up was because we made a decision, and it was supposed to be a de novo hearing because it was a permit issued by the planning board, and somebody disagreed with the permit, or not, by the codes office, I'm sorry. And so we had to hear it de novo, and we missed one point. And it went to court. Well, you remember it, Jim. And it came back to us, but even though the court was hearing it as an appellate body, they sent it back to us for something that the appellee didn't even bring up, because we missed that one point. They were arguing it on the, on the facts, on the decisions we made, and the mistake that the court said we made was that we didn't answer this question.
And that was a de novo.
That was an appellate.
Oh, that was an appellate.
Going to Superior Court is an appellate situation. So even though it was appellate, the court
Crazy.
sent it back to us. They kind of and the thing that was ironic was one of the attorneys who was representing the people who were opposed to the permit, was the attorney who brought this whole de novo business to us in the first place, and he missed the fact that we missed a point. So, anyway,
Can I move to adjourn?
yeah, we're adjourned.
Yes, we agree.
Can't see it.